If you're over 60, being late by just 10 or 15 minutes doesn't mean you die. It means you can stay alive, but you might not be yourself anymore. That's not a scare line for drama. That's what I've watched play out over and over in more than 30 years of treating older adults. And it almost always starts with a tiny, ordinary moment. A night that looks exactly like this. Evening. The living room is quiet. The TV is talking in the background. You're in your favorite chair. The same chair you sit in almost every night. Your dinner plate is still on the table. The dishwasher is humming in the kitchen. Outside, your neighbor's porch light clicks on, like it always does. Nothing feels special. You reach for the TV remote, but your arm doesn't move. You frown and try again. Come on, lift, you think. The arm just lies there heavy, like it belongs to someone else. A strange feeling runs through your body. Tingling, heavy, and somehow distant. You turn your head and try to call your spouse, honey, but your mouth doesn't listen. What comes out is twisted, broken like someone is squeezing your throat halfway through the word. From the kitchen, the person you love turns around and looks at your face. One side of your mouth is pulled down. One eye isn't quite in the same place. A line of drool is slipping from one corner of your lips. In their eyes, you see something no one ever wants to see in someone they love. Pure panicked fear. Let me be blunt with you. That moment is not a movie scene. That is the moment your brain is under attack, minute by minute. 1. Who I am and what I've watched for 30 years. If this is the first time we're meeting, I'm Dr. Eli Morgan. I'm 63. I'm a geriatric doctor in the United States, and I've spent my career with people over 60, in emergency rooms, in stroke units, in rehab centers, in quiet clinic rooms where we go over long lists of medications. I have seen the same story repeat far too many times. Someone who could still talk clearly, still walk to the mailbox, still make their own breakfast. A few hours later, they're lying in a hospital bed looking up at me with confused eyes and asking, "Doctor, why won't my arm move? Will I ever be normal again?" Here's the hard truth. In a stroke, every minute that passes, a part of you disappears, not just on a scan. In real life, a part of your speech, a piece of your memory, your ability to stand up, your ability to use the bathroom by yourself. Sometimes, even a piece of your personality, the way your family knows you. And here's the part that hurts me the most. So many of those stories could have gone better if the family had recognized what was happening and called for help fast enough. 2. What you're going to get from this video, I don't make videos to sound smart on the internet. I make them because I am tired of watching preventable damage repeat itself. If you're over 60 or you love someone over 60, then this is not just health content. This is practical survival training for the brain. In the next several minutes, I'm going to give you a simple way to spot the early signs of a stroke in just a few seconds. A clear picture of the golden window. The short time where doctors still have a real chance to reopen blood flow to the brain. And most important, why you, not me, are the one who decides whether tonight is just another ordinary night or the night everything changes for good. Before we go any further, let me ask you one thing directly. If you feel this is the kind of information that even one person you love should know, then go ahead and hit subscribe and like this video right now, not to support the channel, but because this is the kind of knowledge that can literally save a brain and a life in your family. 3. A quick question for you, and I want a real answer. I'd like to hear from you. Has anyone in your family ever had a stroke? Where are you watching this from? Which state? Which country? Tell me in the comments below. Your stories help other people realize that they're not alone in this fear, and they help me keep making videos that actually speak to what older adults are really living through. All right, let's build the backbone of what you need to know. 4. What a stroke really is, explained so a 70-year-old can picture it.
Let's strip away the fancy words. A stroke is when part of your brain suddenly stops getting blood. Think of your brain as a huge city with billions of tiny houses. Those are your brain cells. Every house needs a small pipe bringing oxygen and sugar every minute of the day. In a stroke, one of two things happens. Either a clot plugs the pipe, like a clump of mud stuck in a narrow water pipe, or the pipe bursts and blood leaks out into the brain tissue, which both poisons nearby cells and crushes them under pressure. In both cases, the result is the same. That part of the brain isn't getting blood. No blood equals no oxygen. No oxygen equals cells start to die within minutes. I want you to lock one sentence into your mind. For the brain, time is brain. Every minute you wait, millions of brain cells die off. You might still be breathing. Your heart might still be beating. But pieces of your memory, your speech, your balance, your ability to stand up from your favorite chair, they're slipping away. That sounds scary? And it is. But here's the good news. Today, we are not as helpless as we were 30 years ago. If you get to us in time, we'll talk about that in a moment. First, you need to know how to spot it before it's too late.
5. The simple rule. Face, arm, speech. Time. I don't want you to memorize a textbook. I want you to remember one short line. Face, arm, speech. Time. That's it. Now let's unpack it so that the next time you see something is off with someone, you're not guessing. You've got a checklist in your head. Face, ask the person to smile. If one corner of the mouth doesn't lift, if the face looks crooked, if drool is running down one side and they don't notice, that's a red flag. Arm, ask them to lift both arms straight out in front of them. If one arm drifts down or they simply can't lift one arm at all, that's red flag number 2. Speech. Ask them to say a simple sentence like, today is Wednesday, or the cat is on the chair. If the words are slurred, if they use the wrong words, if they open their mouth and nothing clear comes out, do not ignore that. And finally, time. Not time as in, let's give it some time. Time as in, when was the last moment this person was completely normal, talking and moving the way they usually do? The more clearly you can answer that, the more options we have in the ER to reopen blood flow. Let me compress this into one thing you can remember. If even one of those 3, face, arm, speech, suddenly looks or sounds wrong, especially in someone over 60 with high blood pressure, diabetes, or heart disease, that is the moment to call 911, not the moment to make tea and see if it passes. Do not drive yourself to the hospital. Do not call your regular doctor first. Do not wait an hour or two and see. One phone call to 911 right then can be the difference between a man who can still walk to the bathroom and bathe himself and a man who will depend on someone else for almost everything for the rest of his life. 6. Mr. James, the man who won because they did not wait to make this real. Let me tell you about one of my patients. I'll call him James. James was 68, loved football and spicy food. That night was an ordinary Sunday. He was in his recliner watching the game. His wife was in the kitchen doing dishes. During a break in the game, she heard a clack. The remote hitting the floor. She thought, he fell asleep again. But when she walked out, something was off. His face was sagging on one side. His right hand was trying to reach for the remote but wouldn't cooperate. And when he tried to say, "Can you grab that for me?" it came out as jumbled, broken sounds. A year earlier, she might have thought, maybe his blood sugar is low. Let's wait a bit. But this time was different. She had seen a video just like the one you're watching now. She checked face, drooping. She checked arm, not lifting. She listened to speech, slurred. She did not take his blood pressure. She did not make coffee. She called 911 immediately. In the ambulance and in the emergency room, things moved quickly. We scanned his brain to make sure there was no bleeding. We saw a part of his brain was not getting blood because of a clot, and most importantly, the time from when he was last normal to when he hit our scanner was still within those first critical hours. Because of that, we could use a clot-busting medicine that sometimes can dissolve the blockage and reopen the artery. It's not magic. It doesn't work for everyone. It has risks. But when it works, it can save a big chunk of brain that was about to die. Not long after getting the medicine, James's hand began to move a little. His words started to clear up. And I will never forget his wife holding his hand, tears running down her face, laughing and crying at the same time. If you read the medical record from that day, you'd see a list of drugs, doses, exact times. But in my mind, the thing that made the biggest difference was simple. She did not wait. She didn't lose an extra hour. She didn't sleep on it. She didn't see if it would go away on its own. That decision saved James's ability to walk, to eat on his own, to take care of himself.
7. Mrs. Rosa. When technology saves you, but only if your family acts. Now let me tell you a harder story. I'll call her Rosa. Rosa was 72 and lived alone after her husband passed. The evening before, she'd been laughing on the phone with her daughter, talking about a new recipe she'd tried. Totally normal. That night, she went to bed like always. No one knew anything was wrong. The next morning, when she tried to get out of bed, her left arm wouldn't move. Her leg gave out. She fell to the floor. She tried to speak, but her mouth could only push out broken sounds. Her phone was nearby. She grabbed it and called her daughter. On the other end, her daughter heard something was very wrong. She couldn't understand the words, but she understood the voice was not her mother's usual voice. She dropped everything and drove over. When she opened the door and saw her mother on the floor, face pulled to one side, left arm limp, she could have panicked. She could have tried to lift her back into bed. She could have said, "Mom, rest a bit. I'll make you some tea." Instead, she did the one thing I wish everyone would do. She called 911 immediately. At the hospital, we did what we did for James. We scanned Rosa's brain. We checked for bleeding. We looked to see which vessels were blocked. But there was a big problem. We didn't know exactly when the stroke started. The last time she was clearly normal was the night before. By the clock, we were past the standard window for the clot-dissolving medicine we used for James. But that didn't mean we were out of options. We took more detailed pictures of the blood vessels in her brain and saw a large artery blocked by a clot, like a tree trunk stuck across the main river. In the last decade or so, we've gained another tool: mechanical thrombectomy, physically pulling the clot out through the blood vessels. Don't worry about the name. Here's what matters. We thread a thin tube from a vessel in the groin, carefully guide it up into the arteries of the brain, use a tiny device, like a little mesh cage, to grab the clot and gently pull it out. The moment that clot comes out, fresh blood rushes back into that starving part of the brain, like water finally flowing again after you pull a plug from a pipe. A few hours later, Rosa was able to lift her left hand off the bed. Not perfectly. Not like before, but enough to tell us part of her brain had been saved. If you asked me, "Doctor, what saved her? Was it technology or was it luck?" Here's my answer. The technology gave us a chance to reopen the artery, but the person who gave us that chance was not a machine. It was her daughter, who heard one strange phone call, recognized this is not right, and called 911 right away, not 3 hours later. 8. Stroke care, then and now. And the one thing that hasn't changed. When I first started practicing medicine, stroke stories were simpler and harsher. Someone had a stroke. We kept their blood pressure stable, gave oxygen, tried to prevent complications, and waited to see how much the brain would recover on its own. Most of the time, whatever damage was done stayed. Today, things look very different. We have medicines that can dissolve some clots in the first few hours. We have procedures that can pull large clots out of big vessels. We have dedicated stroke teams and stroke units. But one thing has not changed in 30 years. None of these tools work if the patient comes in too late. And whether a patient comes in too late or not is not in the doctor's hands. It's in the hands of a spouse, a partner, a son or daughter, a neighbor, someone sitting next to them at church, or you. 9. Your new role, the brain gatekeeper for your family. I want to offer you a new identity, not a potential stroke victim, not a frail older person waiting for bad things to happen. I want you to see yourself as the brain gatekeeper for your household. What does that mean? You are the first person to notice something's not right in someone's face, arm, or speech. You are the one strong enough to say, this is not a wait and see moment. This is a call 911 now moment. You are the one who can tell the paramedics he was completely normal at 7 p.m. The symptoms started at 7:42. That one sentence can change our options completely. Tonight, after you finish this video, I want you to do 3 very practical things. Repeat face, arm, speech. Time out loud a few times until you can say it smoothly without looking. Sit down with your family and say, if any of us ever has these signs, we are going to call 911 right away. We are not going to drive ourselves. We are not going to wait a few hours. If you're the one with heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, write down your main medical conditions and your daily medicines, or keep a photo of your pill bottles and list in your phone. When you come to the ER, that list is worth gold to us. You can't control everything in life. None of us can. But you can prepare for these critical minutes so that if this moment ever comes, you don't have to say, I wish I had called sooner. 10. The one thing I want you to remember tonight, if you only remember one thing from this entire video, let it be this. Stroke does not wait. Sudden changes in face, arm, or speech equals call 911 immediately. The time you save is brain you keep. You have worked many years to build this life, this home, this family, to earn the right to sit in that familiar chair in your living room, to enjoy your porch, your garden, your people. You deserve to keep as much of you as possible. Your laugh, your stories, your ability to stand up and walk, your ability to take care of yourself. If this video makes you rethink how you and your family would react to a possible stroke, then hit subscribe and send this video to at least one person your age that you do not want living with regrets after a stroke. Here on this channel, we're going to keep talking about the other things that quietly steal independence after 65. The falls in the bathroom, the harmless pills that aren't so harmless, the little habits that slowly dull your memory. But all of that starts with something very simple. Tonight, you've learned how to look a stroke in the face, call it by its real name, and refuse to sit back and wait. You are not powerless here. You're the gatekeeper.